What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm here bringing you my Deskbot deck once again. I know I've seen a lot of videos up on the channel of this particular deck, but that is because this deck does hold a special place in my heart, and that is just strictly because this is one of those decks that I had bought whenever I was first starting out in Yu-Gi-Oh! And whenever I bought it, the only like Deskbot cards there were was Deskbot 1 to Deskbot 6. 7, 8, 9 base, none of those were out yet. And I still played the deck because it was a fun OTK deck, and it's still a fun OTK deck. Now, I will go ahead and let you know that I did not build this to be super competitive in today's metagame. I have built this around just having a good time and just having fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, you can technically put a few more stuff in here that I don't have in here to make it a little bit more better in today's metagame, but again, I'm not focusing on that. So I wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way so no one thinks, this is supposed to be like a competitive Deskbot deck build. It's not, it is just to have some fun. That's all I'm trying to do. So, I hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, for the most part, I know my monsters aren't going to change too much, so just we're going to pretty much go through this deck profile pretty quick, I think. So we have one Deskbot 1, it's been the same since the beginning. We have 3 Deskbot 2, that's been the same since the beginning. It's your best special summon, your best normal summon being the 3 Deskbot 3. Just makes sense because, you get to special summon any Deskbot. We are on 2 Deskbot 4, my bad. I used to be on 1 Deskbot 4, but that's because I was playing a Gold Gadget, Silver Gadget engine, but I cut that engine completely, so now we're back on 2-4. Not really too much to say about it. 3 Deskbot 5, it's your best Pendulum Deskbot in the deck. Your second best being 2-6, which is why we only play 2 of it. You don't really want to play too many of the Deskbot monsters, so you don't want to overload on them. You got to keep that in mind. We play 1 Deskbot 7. It's another scale, and it has a pretty good effect to where if you attack, the defense position, you inflict piercing, so that's pretty cool. 1 Deskbot 8, it gets attacked twice, blah de blah. It's also a 1 scale, so that's pretty important for, your pendulum summoning. As for our last Deskbot monster being Deskbot 9, I think this card was also the last Deskbot card to be printed, because I believe base came out before 9, and then shortly after base came out, I believe 9 came out. I want to say. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I think it is. But yeah, that does it for the Deskbot monsters. So let's go ahead and keep moving. We played the Symphonic Warrior engine. It took me a really long time to actually start playing this engine, because I was always like, this engine doesn't seem that good. And then I started playing it, and it's actually a really good engine in this deck. Just because you activate your guitar, pitch a card, and then summon your mics. Now the big thing about mics is that it gives you an extra normal summon, so that's why it's so good. At first I was like, well, you just get to special summon a monster, but the reason it's so good is that it gives you an extra normal summon, or at least that's why I think it's so good. All right, so here comes some proxies, just because I was too lazy to take out the cards out of my salad deck. So we have triple Ash Blossom starting off our hand traps, and we also play triple Emperor. That's it for hand traps. Like I said, you could take out some cards, put in some more cards to play some more hand traps and stuff. But like I said, I wasn't trying to make this super competitive. I was going to throw in some hand traps. That way, going second isn't that bad. Ash is a really good hand trap this time around, and so is Imperm. So there's that. Also, this deck has no problem with breaking boards, so I'm not too worried about that. That, and you can just swing over a certain monster at certain times with your Deskbot 9 and just still OTK, so completely board wiping isn't as important as in other OTK decks. We play 3 limited spell cards, being Called By, Harpies, and Monster Reborn. Out of all these, Monster Reborn is the most important, but the other 2, they're really good cards, Harpies, wipe the backward, Called By, pretty much just stopping Ash, Valor, Bell, Ogre, any of those. Or if you need to, you could set it and I guess get rid of something out of your opponent's graveyard, possibly. Or if they activate something on your turn and they have that card in the graveyard, you could use Call By for that even. We are on 2 Deskbot base. For the longest time I was on 1 Deskbot base. But you can actually shuffle base using base, that, and you can, with the second effect, you can banish a base, so it's a lot easier to get those 9 different Deskbots banished to get that effect, so that's also pretty cool. So playing 2 of it's actually not that bad. Next, Double Urgent Schedule. This card's super big in the Go Second variant. There are Go First variants of this deck, and they don't play the Urgent Schedule. But in a Go Second variant, this is kind of important because if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon 2 different leveled machine monsters. I believe it's 4 lower, 1 level 4 lower and 1 level 5 or higher. And it summons them in defense and negates their effects. Also, you cannot attack except with machine monsters after this is activated, which is not a problem. Everything we play in this deck is practically a machine, so it's not that big of an issue. Next is probably our most important spell, being 3 Machine Duplication. I say this card's so important because pretty much all your Despots are pretty much all your Despots have 500 attack and defense. This is an exception to like Despot 1 and stuff, you know, the other ones that we play at 1 of. Just because Machine Dupe's not going to do anything for those in particular, but it does stuff for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can Machine Dupe all those and be perfectly fine. It's just one of those cards that's really good for extending. Here's another proxy that I'm playing, and that is 3 Lightning Storm. Now, since I don't actually own Lightning Storm, let's say I were to go to locals, I would just throw in 3 Regeki. So I'd have 3 Regeki, 1 Harpies. But if you have Lightning Storm, definitely throw the Lightning Storm in there. Because it's just such a good going second card that it's too good to not play. So if you do have it, definitely play it. So our extra deck starting us off are your 3 like main Link monsters, being Platinum Gadget, Mrs. Radiant, and Cleafort Genius. The reason I say these are your main ones is because you're going into them the most out of the rest of the links in your extra deck. So you got to keep that in mind as well. These are like the ones that you're going to see hit the board the most. Now, you're also not going to go into your extra deck that much. Extra deck is more or less like, if you need to go into it, it's there. But for the most part, you really don't even need an extra deck. So, but it is nice to have one. We are also on the Nightmare Toolbox, being Unicorn, Cerberus, and Phoenix. Now, we haven't really seen all 3 of these played that much since probably Goki. I think Goki was the last time all 3 of these were really played a lot. Because of the U-Link capability with these cards, and their effects that they gave you were just too big to give up. So, yeah. We also play 3 Link 4s. Boarsword, Appaloosa, Saryuja. All these are used at different points in times if needed, and they all have their own like parts in the extra deck, such as Saryuja is your extender, Appaloosa is if you're stuck going first, and Boarsword is like if your first OTK doesn't go as well, you have Boarsword to back it up. We also play some Synchros, being Jet and Omega. You can make these pretty easily in the deck. It does not take a whole lot of effort to make these 2. Very solid Synchro monsters for sure. Omega, like if you're stuck going first, boom, you have Omega. If you're going second, you have Jet, so that's pretty huge for the most part. You could play some more Synchros if you wanted, because making Synchros in this deck is not that big of an issue, even with only 1 tuner, being the Despot 1. It's still not that hard to make Synchro monsters. XYZs, we play 1 Baguska just because for some reason some people can't out a Baguska, and Dweller for certain matchups if they come up. But yeah, Baguska's just there because for some reason a lot of people can't out the card. There's been times where I've made Baguska and they just passed back. Like, they set a few cards, of course, but then they passed back, and it was crazy because, like, I never really expected Baguska to be that card, right? But it's just so good. It's such a good card. For our last 2 extra deck monsters, that it will be Nova and Infinity. This is another one of those cards where if you're stuck going first, you can make it and be A-okay for the most part. So, yeah. Like, you play 4 different cards for if you're stuck going first. You have your Appaloosa, you have your Omega, you have Infinity, and you have Baguska. I guess technically you count Dweller as well, so you technically have 5. just because Dweller might come up in certain matchups, you know, and you can make it going first if needed. So I guess technically you play 5 going first cards, but yeah. So like, if you're stuck going first, you're not just sitting there doing nothing. It's better to have something to try to go into than having nothing to go into. So that's why I play these going first cards and my going second build, just because that scenario might come up. But yeah, that is my Deskbot deck. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, I built it just for fun, not competitiveness, so keep that in mind. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and see you guys later.